Hi, this is Jonathan Ross. I'm the lead instructor for the Digital Media program, and I'm going to be giving you an introduction to digital media in this series of three little lectures here. Digital media is a term that's been used for a few years now, of course, and it does have some roots, and the roots are actually in the term multimedia. And so it's important to understand what multimedia is. Well, multimedia is the use of a computer to present and combine text, graphics, audio, and video with links and tools that let the user navigate, interact, create, and communicate. That's by Fred Hofstadter. He said that in 2001, and that's really exactly the same thing as what digital media is. The only difference between multimedia and digital media is that multimedia means that it could be analog, and that's where digital media is different. Digital media is digital. So what is multimedia exactly, or digital media? It's doing a lot of different things at the same time. Audio and video and interactivity. So it's pretty complex stuff, but it's a lot of fun, and let's get started on it. So why do we want to use multimedia? Multimedia or digital media is really effective because it hits people in different ways. There are three different ways to learn, basically: visual learning, auditory learning, and kinesthetic learning. Visual are those things that you see, auditory, those things you hear, and kinesthetic, learning by actually experiencing or doing. This is an interesting chart that I found about the general public versus practicing attorneys, and you'll notice that the general public is primarily visual. Then we also have general public who are auditory or kinesthetic. Now, you'll find that almost every study also says that it's important that you do all three of these, because people remember about 20% of what they see alone, 30% of what they hear, 50% of what they see and hear, and then 80% of what they see, hear, and do. So it's so important that you do all of the things, and that's what multimedia or digital media is really excellent at. So what is the difference between analog multimedia and digital multimedia? Well, analog is actually a waveform, and that waveform is represented by this that you see right here. Digital is when you've taken an analog something or other, photo or audio or video, and turned it into a discrete series of numbers, zeros and ones. Those zeros and ones are a binary signal. Well, the difference goes greater than this because there are benefits of using a digital signal over analog for sure. With analog signals, you always get noise, and that noise is impossible to get rid of. You'll notice, when you watch old TVs, you'll get that kind of static, and you can't get rid of that. With digital signals, you have the ability to cancel out that noise by some complex stuff, but you get to cancel out the noise and get back to an original signal of zeros and ones. That means that you won't have any generation loss, which is each time you copy the signal, it gets worse and worse and worse. Well, with a digital signal, that signal is the same every single time that you copy it. Now, the nice thing about that is, of course, with digital signals, you can use those signals anywhere. You can send a signal from here to Alaska and then over to Taiwan, and it's exactly the same signal. What they receive, what is sent, is exactly the same thing that's received. And that's the big thing that makes digital media so different from analog media. Now, why now? Well, we know that computers are cool. We know that there's this thing called the Internet, or the World Wide Web, which is allowing us to transfer this media all over the world very quickly. So that's one of the major reasons that this is happening now. Now, it's important that you do go ahead and take a look at the history of digital media. So you'll find some of this history in your book. You'll even find a timeline that goes from 3000 BC all the way up to the present in your book as well. And you can also visit this website, computerhistory.org. But there are some things that have changed. Like the Laserdisc. When it came out, that changed the way we saved information. The mouse changed the way that we interact. And then, of course, back in 1984, maybe you might remember the important event that happened then. And you'll find out more about that in the next tutorial.